Welcome to the Mama Time podcast, where we dive into all things wellness to support and empower you on your journey through pregnancy and motherhood. I'm Charlotte, your host, a proud mama of 3 and a pre- and postnatal yoga teacher. My mission is simple: to help mothers like you feel your best. In this podcast, I'll share practical tools, heartfelt stories, and nurturing practices to help you reconnect with yourself through the ever-changing seasons of motherhood. Because while you're busy caring for everyone else, I'm here to remind you of something so important. You matter too. You are worthy of prioritizing your well-being, and when you do, it creates a ripple effect that transforms not just your life, but the lives of those around you. Along with sharing my own experiences and resources, I'll be chatting with inspiring fellow mamas who are passionate about supporting other women. Together, we'll have honest, heart-centered conversations about their journeys and the transformative tools they rely on to thrive in motherhood, so you can thrive too. So take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's get into today's episode. Are you ready? Hi, and welcome back to Mama Time. Today, I have a very special guest. I have Kate Eakin, who is a childbirth educator. She is a certified Hypnobirthing Australia Practitioner, as well as a certified Body Ready Method Pro. And she helps women achieve a calm, positive, and empowered birth. And I'm so excited for you to hear this episode. She shares so many great insights into how women can actually be empowered through this stage of their life. And also her own story is just so fascinating about what led her to doing this work. So I can't wait for you to listen, and I hope you enjoy it. Welcome, Kate, to Mama Time. I'm so excited to have you here today.
I'm so glad to be here, and I'm really looking forward to chatting.
Yay. Well, just a bit of background for the listeners. Kate actually did my hypnobirthing course with my oldest son, who's now 5.5. We were just going over how quickly the years have gone by. So she is wonderful. I am absolutely biased, but she is just so amazing at what she does in empowering women on their own journeys through pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. But I want to start with her own journey that's led her there. So, Kate, could you tell us a little bit about your own journeys through those stages?
Yeah. It's kind of nice kind of thinking back and looking back at it. So for me, it all started, I was actually in the UK when I was pregnant with my first, and I, just like anyone else, you're pregnant and you're thinking, okay, yeah, sure, let's do this. And I felt really confident at the start. You can hear me say at the start. When it all happened, I was sort of thinking, yeah, great, I'm pregnant now and I'm going to have a baby. This is amazing. And I thought, wow. And my mum never had these traumatic stories to tell me. It was always really positive. And I thought, great, so I'm going to do the same. It's going to be good. And then I suppose just as it went along, I spoke to more people. And everyone wanted to chat about it. Everyone wanted to give me their story or what was their experience. And then they would ask me about how I was going to do it and what choices I was going to make. And I just felt a little bit like it became this judgment, and also about, um, you know, making those right choices. And then when you'd say you do something, or what you are planning to do, the reactions, oh, well, you just wait. Or, yeah, it's interesting because once you're in it, and people would always be telling me that it wasn't going to be that good. And it was going to be hard and kind of preparing me. I don't know I'm sure it's all coming from a nice place. It's all coming from a place that they're trying to help, but it doesn't always come across like that. And certainly
Yes.
wasn't coming across like that for me. And it was just a lot of pressure. And I started really doubting myself, and I lost all the trust that I had in myself. And I started thinking, maybe I can't do this. Maybe I do need to take the epidural, which I was told, just take it, just take it. And I'm thinking, well, why wouldn't you why am I making this decision to not, if it's going to help me? And so then I just started all this confusion. So I thought, I just need to have something. What can I go and get that will give me something to hold on to, some tools and some knowledge about what is actually happening in my body and how I can work with it. And I looked around, and this was 15 years ago. So hypnobirthing wasn't perhaps as mainstream as it is now. And I had a friend that was doing hypnobirthing over in the UK. And they said, oh, yeah, I'm going to use this and we'll see how it goes. And I thought, oh, this sounds really interesting. So when we moved back to Australia, I looked into it and I thought, this sounds great. My partner involved. I was a bit worried about telling him initially because I thought he's going to think this is crazy and that I thought that he would think it's too woo-woo and it's too kind of out there, but he was great. Straight away, he said, we'll do anything that makes you feel confident going into this experience. So that just made me feel really good. So we went and did our hypnobirthing course. Now, little did I know that he wasn't really that convinced until he had done the course. And I thought, isn't that sweet that he was he was just playing along.
Sometimes that's needed, though. That's
I
not a
know.
bad thing.
That's right. At least he was there, right? I mean,
Yes.
the fact that he entered that room and he was like, I'm prepared to do this for my wife. And I'm like, great, that's all I needed for now.
Yeah.
But once he'd done the course, it was like he was all changed. He said it was all based on fact and it was telling me how your body was working and what I could do to help you and understanding this whole process and understanding what I'm there for and that I'm not going to be standing there twiddling my thumbs and doing nothing. And I love that because he just walked out of that room feeling so much more empowered. I felt empowered. I felt so much more supported. And I thought, wow, we're a real team going into this. And my confidence level was just going up, 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 up. So when it came to birthing for my first birth, I was actually assuming that I would maybe go private because I didn't know any more information than maybe I need the best and maybe private is the best, right? I really had no information in regards to model of care because I'd been living over in the UK for so long, came here. And anyway, so I couldn't go private and I had to go public. And it ended up working out really well for me because I didn't want to have, after doing my hypnobirthing course, I learned that I didn't really want to have a care provider that was going to be constantly on me or asking me questions or getting in the way and disturbing my zone. I just wanted to be really going in, using the facilities, using the room, and then going out again. That was what my thoughts were. I would have loved to have had a continuity of care, which meant that I would have had a known midwife that was there in the room with me. But I wasn't able to get that. Again, arriving into the country and then just going, quick, let's birth the baby. So I just, I went to, it was Gold Coast University Hospital at the time. And on the day when it happened, working together with my husband, doing all the tools and using everything we had around us to help. And it ended up being a great birth. Came into the hospital. My partner was, doing his job as in protecting the birth environment by not having me, I didn't need to speak. I didn't need to engage with anyone there. He was protecting that zone. He was doing all the talking so that I could just stay in my labor flow state that was allowing my body to work the best that it could possibly do. And so I arrived in the hospital. I waited to the very last minute, I will say. I stayed at home for a very long time. And as soon as I came in, they looked at the midwives looked at me and thought, this woman's just going to burst right in. I'll quickly get her through to a room. So once I got through the room, I started peeling off all the clothes and that's not me. I'm not that sort of, out there sort of person. So it's just interesting how when you go into your birthing and all those inhibitions go out the door, especially at that certain stage. And then I went to the shower and then I had my baby 2 hours later. And, I had my partner in the shower with me working away and it was a great birth. It was really good. I didn't really need to I was very lucky to not have any interventions, not touching, prodding. And that was really great. That's exactly what I was after. Now, after that, because my midwife at the time, she and many other midwives as well were saying, oh, wow, you're so good at this. You're great at birthing. And I'm thinking, what? She's like, you're made to birth. And I'm like, yes, but we're all made to birth.
Yeah, that's an interesting take, isn't it?
And I thought that was really, and I think that stuck in my head that they kind of said that I was so good at it that as if maybe I've got this superpower. I got really confident. And it was overconfidence. When they told me that, I got this sense of, like this cockiness, like I'm so good at this. And maybe they thought this was a good idea to kind of rev me up like this. But in reality, I'm thinking this wasn't good, because this very much played into for my second birth. It's great to be confident. It's really good to be confident going into birth. And that's really what I'm working with on all my couples, really, really bringing up that confidence level. Because if you don't have that confidence, really you're just stepping into this zone on the back foot, and you allow the fear to take over, and we know that the body doesn't work as well when we're allowing that to happen. So I understand confidence, but cockiness, probably not good.
There is a
Because
difference. That's true.
there is. So you need to I needed to, realize that, let's not go down the cocky road. But I did at the time. And when I was pregnant with my second, I thought, great, yes, I'm going to do this. I was so confident. Let's do this. And that's good. But the cockiness made me feel like I knew exactly how this was going to go. I wanted the water birth this time, so that's what was going to happen. And I got into MGP, so midwife group practice program, which means I had a known midwife, which is wonderful. And so I'm like, great, that's going to happen. I'm going to have my midwife there. I'm going to have my partner there. It's going to look like this. I'm going to have a quick birth, because for my first, it went pretty quick and it was pretty straightforward, and there were no hiccups and no interventions. And so this is what's going to happen. And because that was that in my mind, and it got so set in my mind, that's not great, because birth will just do whatever. And you've got to just be prepared for the twists and turns, and you don't want to get too rigid in your thinking. So when I was about 36 weeks with my second, the midwife was coming to the house, which was wonderful. It was a great model of care that she was able to do that. And she worked out as she was palpating and working out where baby was positioned. She said, I think I have this feeling that baby might be breech. And what I'm feeling is this head up here as opposed to a bottom, which I'd like to feel a bottom, because that would mean the baby was the other way around. And I'm thinking, no, that's not going to happen, because I'm going to have this great birth and it's going to be perfect and it's going to be exactly what I have in my mind. And so I was just in disbelief. It's not going to happen. It's just simply not going to happen. And of course, we had a few scans, and it worked out the baby was in fact breech. So straight away, everything changed. As I say, birth has a way of kind of giving you what you need.
That's a beautiful way to look at it.
Yeah, it's like it's a constant learning, and sometimes we need to be given these challenges so that we can work our way through them and realize that it's not just all about control and this and this and knowing exactly what's going to happen. So for me, finding this out was pretty much kind of destroyed me a little bit. That doesn't work together, does it? Destroy and a little bit. But it world collapsed, and I was thinking, this is not what I want. This is not what I want to have and what I want to do. And straight away, everything changed in the way that people were speaking to me. So I had obstetricians coming in now and saying that you're going to have a cesarean, and it just felt very, you're going to do this. And it was so different to the model of care I was having, where it felt very women-centered and very much, what are you thinking? And this is all coming from you. And now all of a sudden I'm being told what to do. I didn't like that. And also because I've had that hypnobirthing training, I knew that I didn't have to stand for that. And that was really great, because having the hypnobirthing before I'd entered into this, I just knew, yes, I'm falling to pieces right now, and I'm allowed to have my freak out. I'm allowed to have my cry and my scream and whatever I did at the time, and then get back on the road. Then you got to get back and start thinking, okay, I've had my meltdown. Now it's time to get back on hypnobirthing mode, which is using those tools, because these tools prepare you for any birth and any situation. And it's not about having perfect births. It's not about it going a certain way. It is just about using these tools to deal with whatever situation you are presented with. And so I went, okay, let's do this. And I'm like, it didn't mean that I was going to agree to everything that was asked of me or not asked, but told that I was told to do. It meant that I was just going to be about making informed decisions, staying calm, and knowing that because I stayed as calm as I possibly could, I was going to make better decisions that were going to align with me and that were going to be better for me and for my baby. And that I was going to walk out of this, regardless of whatever happened. I knew I was going to walk out of this thinking that was my choices and that was my pathway, and felt informed. And I'm not going to have that birth trauma after, because I'm going to feel like this is my journey. So that's what I concentrated on. So now I also knew I could walk away and make some decisions and not agree to anything on the spot. And that was sort of a bit of a surprise by the hospital. They were like, what? So I went home and I spoke with my husband, and I used some information that I had. I used some people that I could speak to, because now I knew that I could kind of, open up, and asked whoever I had available to me. And so I spoke to some people about what my choices were. No one, of course, is telling me what to do. They're just sort of saying, well, these are your options. And so now I knew my options.
Out of curiosity, who were those people that you spoke to? Like, what do they do?
I actually spoke to my hypnobirthing practitioner that kind of took me through the course, who was the director of Hypnobirthing Australia, Melissa Spilstead. And she offered some really great advice. Again, none of it was, you need to do this. It was just, these are your choices. I actually spoke to a chiropractor that she works with. So she'd done hypnobirthing. She is also running her own practice, very women-centered, very kind of holistic. And I knew that she also did Webster technique, which it looks at turning baby. And so I just, again, asked her some questions about what I said. And she was actually the one that sort of said to me, by the way, you do realize that if you wanted to, you could have a vaginal breech birth. She said, just putting it out there. And I was like, and that got me on my little investigation, my little journey of looking into that. And then I thought, you know what, this suited me. And look, I've supported couples that have had a breech baby or breech presentation, and some of which have gone on to have a vaginal breech birth, and others that have chosen not to. And again, I'm not here to say, because I'm hoping to do this, that everyone should. It's just, this was what my choice was. And I think that's what's, every woman has the choice to make, and we choose what is right for us and what's right for our body and our baby, and given the circumstances that you're presented with at that time. So I thought, okay, well, let's do this. I spoke to my husband and we said, yeah, let's do it. And I went into the hospital. This wasn't taken so well.
I was going to say that probably wasn't even presented to you as an option by the hospital, was it?
No
Yeah,
option.
interesting.
No. It was just straight off, I was told, this is what you're doing. So when I brought this up with them, they said, okay, you're going to have to go to the head of obstetrics. So sit around an oval table. You have the obstetricians on one side and you'll be on the other side, and you're going to have this, what felt like a panel, felt like I was at the headmaster's office, being told off. And they said, we'll have to see if you're a good candidate for us to support you. And at the time, Gold Coast University Hospital was a breech-friendly hospital, so that was an option. They could possibly support you, but it is not now, which is really, it's really unfortunate. I mean, you can go to other hospitals, but you'd have to transfer to another hospital, say if you were at Gold Coast.
Yeah, interesting.
So I was lucky at the time that they did even consider it. But I did have to jump through hoops. I had to be a certain age. I had to be a certain weight. Baby had to be a certain size from what they could tell. It had to be a second birth. I had to have given birth vaginally from my first to show that they would give the, number two a go.
You had to tick all the boxes.
So I was able to do that, which I'm really lucky for, only because it just made the journey easier if I didn't have to fight for that.
Yeah.
But what their support meant was that every 2 days I had to go into the hospital and be checked to see if
Every
everything was
2
going.
days.
2 days from like 37 weeks onwards, every 2 days.
So that was like your job at that point. Like,
Yeah,
just going into the
that's
hospital.
exactly how it was. And that's exhausting, just when a woman should be getting into her kind of, that birthing kind of world and really hiding herself away and having that downtime and really preparing herself mentally, physically for this huge event that she's going into, which is like a marathon. Yeah, every 2 days I'm like wearing myself out, and not just physically wearing myself out, but mentally and emotionally, because I would go in and I'd have that electronic fetal monitor strapped up to my belly, and then they would be looking at how baby's doing. And that's great. We can work out if baby's doing well, and that's good. But all of those machines around you, the stress of, oh, is baby okay? All of that,
Yes.
it just creates lots of stress. So I used my hypnobirthing more so in this birth than I did even in my first. I would come home after experiencing that, and I would have my affirmations playing.
Beautiful.
My partner each night would be doing some sort of relaxation, just a little bit of like touch work. He would be reading me something to just go to bed, just to kind of keep
so
that positive
beautiful.
mindset.
Oh my goodness.
And we didn't even do huge amounts each night, like just that little 5 minutes before I'd go to bed. And it just helped me to feel really connected to him. It helped me to constantly work on the tool of having his voice become that voice that I was really conditioned to, so that he could use that when it came to the birth. And what's really interesting is that he didn't really use that in the birth. And it was all of that work that we'd done before that played into me being so relaxed and confident that he was there and I had someone there ready if they needed to.
Yeah.
But it was all the work we'd done before. So, I mean, this is what I tell my couples. It's like, you might even get to the birth and not use half of the things you've been practicing, but it will have all been making a difference to what you get when you get in the birth. I mean, it really does. It does make that huge difference. So going up every 2 days to the hospital, a couple of things came up. We've got, I think one of the times baby wasn't moving enough. So it was like, some stress there. And
stressful.
So, and then it's like, no, it was fine after that. Worked out. Baby was just sleeping. It's all good.
You're like, meanwhile, you're like,
I'm having a heart attack. Another visit, they said that my fluids were low and my amniotic fluid wasn't enough. And I'm being looked after by the head of obstetrics now. So I'm getting the best care, perhaps you could say.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, if you come in 2 days' time again and that fluid is low, you'll have to have a cesarean. So I said, well, is there anything that I can do? Because this is part of what we talk about with hypnobirthing. Always ask your care provider, is there something that you can do? Ask those questions, because you're adults and we're at this level together and we're working to bring out this baby. But it's a teamwork. It's not just someone telling you what to do. And she said, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do to help that fluid. And I thought, well, I just felt like that even if it was just relax more, or even if it was some sort of dietary thing. And so I did Google, and I don't expect everyone to get onto Google because I think there's some crazy stuff that comes up on the internet.
Yeah.
But I was looking at nutrition and I thought, well, maybe I'll just see what that says. Nothing that was going to certainly be dangerous or, out there. And it said to drink more. And I thought, okay, well, I could drink some more water. And it also said to increase protein. And I knew that I was lacking in protein. And I thought, that's interesting because I knew that already. So I thought, okay, well, I could probably do that as well. And I knew that that's certainly something I needed to do anyway. So I increased those two things. And lo and behold, my next visit, my fluid has increased.
Amazing.
And so my care provider was very, very shocked by that. And I was like, just shows you when you look after yourself. So there's always something that you can do, right? And so that's why I encourage, my couples to just always be looking at, can you do something to help yourself? So anyway, cutting a long story short, I went through that process for it was about sort of a week and a half of doing that trips into the hospital. My baby did come at 39 weeks. So that was really handy because I couldn't handle that stress going in. And, I'm working all this time trying to do this hypnobirthing and, doing all my tools and techniques. And, there's only so much stress that you can take. And so that was really great that I didn't have to continue that process into the 40, 41, 42. So baby did come at 39. And when I was at home, I'll sort of just quickly talk through that process of being at home because it's pretty important for my birth. On the day I went into labor and I was in bed and my waters released, which was really different a sensation from what I experienced with my first because it had happened in the shower just before birthing my baby. That's when it happened for my first. So I didn't really, it was quite confusing. I thought actually I had just peed myself and I'm like, this is not good. Obviously my baby's standing on my bladder and maybe that's what's happening. When you're in the wee hours of the morning, you're not really thinking. So I did just have a shower and then get back into bed because I thought everything was, normal. And so about an hour after that, I started feeling those surges or contractions. In the birthing world, we usually call them surges. So I felt that and thought, oh, okay, so the labor started. Great. I kind of got up and I was walking around, using my tools to kind of relax, do my flop, breathing exercises. And I sort of went through that process for about an hour, not waking my partner. So I thought, well, you can sleep for a bit longer because I don't need him. And I enjoyed solitude. And then after about that hour, I realized it was intensifying and it was building up pretty quickly. So I thought, well, I'll get my partner up now and we can get ready and go to the hospital. I was going to be at the birth center. Oh, actually, sorry. No, I was going to be at the birth center, but now I'm going to be at the hospital, but it's still at the same place. I got him up and he said, did I have time for a shower? And I said, yep, he has really quick showers. So that's not a problem. Has a quick shower, gets out. And I just felt this surge or this contraction come over me that felt just so intense that I thought, I don't know if I can do another one of those. And in hindsight, that was transition. But at the time, I just thought, I'm just dealing with these surges as they come in. You're not thinking about where you are, where you're at. And so I just said to him, you need to call someone to look after our daughter and so that we can go off to the hospital now. And he did that. And I just thought, well, I'll just go sit on the toilet for a while because I just knew that it would feel so good to just sort of relax and let everything sort of kind of bear down a bit because I did feel that urge to just sort of, and so I went to the toilet, and as I was sitting there, I did feel the urge to kind of bear down, and I did. And as I did, I put my hand down, and I could feel a foot in my, and that will be a very surreal feeling. I still feel like I can, it's all very real in my mind right now, and it happened a while ago now. So I've got this foot in my hand and I thought he's here. So I did yell, he's here. And I went straight to the shower because I had given birth to my first in the shower. So it felt really natural. I got in there and as I'm standing there, my partner walked in and he had two phones on his ear. So one with the midwife and one with emergency. And the midwife was saying, hang up, there's nothing more we can do for you, just listen to emergency. So I put it on speakerphone and I could hear them say, you need to get out of the shower. And I thought, I'm not getting out of the shower, do whatever I want to do. And remember, I've been fighting for 2 weeks solid, and I knew what I wanted to do. I knew how I wanted to birth, and I was really empowered. And I didn't want to get out of the shower. And I thought, well, hang on. And I had this moment where I realized I'm on tiles. It's a really small enclosed space. So I wasn't sure if my partner could even get in to receive my baby. So I thought, okay, I'll get out. That's fine. So I got out and then I could hear them say, get on the bed. And I'm like, I'm not getting in on the bed. Because I was so sure that they were going to put me on my back. And I knew through all the research that I'd done that giving birth in an all-fours position was going to be the best position to give birth to a breech baby in because it opens the pelvis up, it creates the most space to get baby out. But then I heard the emergency say, let's get her onto all fours. And I thought, oh, I just had that moment of, I've got someone on the phone that actually knows what they're talking about. So that did relieve a lot in me. I got on the bed and they really didn't have to say very much at all. As soon as they got onto the bed, baby had already come down to, so kind of bottom half was out and still arms and head were in. And then we just waited for that next surge and that next contraction, which you need to wait for that because you can't push on anything that you don't feel. You've got to wait for that sensation to, like, bring baby down. And so we waited and waited. And then on that next push or bear down, my partner was able to, or my husband was able to catch our little baby. So he came out, hardly making a noise, little murmur, kind of went, oh. We were kind of waiting for this big noise and it was just like, and that was kind of a bit of a shock for us. And then straight up onto my chest, and then I got wrapped in a number of things like a polo shirt, and there was a dressing gown. We were not prepared for this. We were not expecting that baby would come at home. And then we had emergency knock at the door after. And we had two lovely paramedics come in and said, we missed everything. So we also did actually have a senior officer turn up shortly after, maybe 10 minutes after, because we've been flagged as being high risk, being a breech baby, and they needed to sort of send someone else knowing that there could have been problems. And so I have to say that was a very interesting experience having the first two ambulance officers were amazing, so respectful, coming into your bedroom, so respectful and lovely. And then a senior officer came in with completely different vibe. It was really verging on aggressive, but very testosterone kind of fueled, and it was a lot of fear. Like, what are we doing here? We need to get this mum on, in the ambulance and, to the hospital. We need to, we need. And I was shaking, but that was all the adrenaline going through me. And it was such a different vibe, and it kind of, it really didn't work. It wasn't great for me. And then he said, we need to cut the cord. I didn't allow that. And it was interesting because the two ambos that were there before said, oh, no, she's waiting for the cord to finish pulsating. And he said, we need to get this woman to the in the ambulance and to the hospital. And I kind of gave up. I gave up my fight. So I agreed to cutting the cord, even though I didn't want to. And I now know, after all of my, after my studies, after becoming a hypnobirthing practitioner and learning childbirth education and doing all that, I now know that we have this oxytocin that is surging through us, and it's a bonding hormone, and it makes you bond with everyone in the room. And when you're trying to connect with them, you're appeasing them as well, even when you don't want to. So that is a time where you need to protect that birth environment. That is probably the most vulnerable time, as mum is birthing the baby and then straight after, because she becomes very, very kind of, she's not in that zone to, make decisions and answer questions and be like, in that kind of zone. So, I certainly don't judge myself for it, but I do look back on it and go, oh, yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And you can understand why as well, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah. And look, we we got to the hospital, everything was fine. And I did birth the placenta at the hospital, but it certainly led into number two for me was it was what really made me decide to enter into this zone of being a hypnobirthing practitioner.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Actually, from your own journeys, then, at what point did you actually decide that, this is something you wanted to do and support other women with?
Yeah. I think it was when you go through this process, as you have, and you realize what you're up against, the sort of environments you're in, the sort of pressures you have, the sort of questions you have to answer, ask, what you're faced with. it's not just about, I would love to say it is just about trusting your body. And believe me, yes, it is. But we have to deal with a whole lot. And I'd love to take that away from women. I really would. I really love to put them in like this bubble and say, you don't have to take in that. You don't have to experience that. But this is our birthing system. This is what we have to birth in. And I feel like women need supported through that. And that's, I needed support through that. And if I didn't have hypnobirthing, I'm not sure how I would have gone through that. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think about it and think, wow, gee, this could have ended very differently. And I have no idea what that would have looked like. But I'm so
Yeah.
glad that I don't have to look at that, because what I experienced, even though some people may look at that and go, oh my God, you had to go to the hospital every 2 days and you had to do this and there was so much pressure. And then you told that this was happening, this happening. Maybe that wasn't a great journey, but I actually thought it was a really great journey because I felt really empowered by it. I felt like I was driving it, felt like I was making the decisions. I was in control and I like using that word. I know that a lot of birth workers don't like using the word control. They say it's like a dirty word because you can't control birth. But control for me means knowing knowing what you can say yes and no to, knowing that you have choices, knowing that you get to drive this and you're the one that says, you know what, no, I don't want to do that because it doesn't feel right to me. So that's where all that control comes from. And I feel like, you can have that, but you need to surrender and let go to what you don't have control to, which is the sensations that are happening in your body. And that baby's, that baby's going to do what that baby's going to do. They're really smart. They're really good. But also, yeah, you kind of work with them and you're a team. So you don't control them, but you can control, the choices that you make going into this. And so I just knew if I could give other parents, other couples, and empower them with knowledge and understanding what they're walking into and empowering them with what they can do and what what choices they've got, and understand that they can be the leader in their birth. They can drive that, they can be the person that feels like, you can walk out of this saying, that was my birth. So that was really important for me, and I wanted to be able to give that to others. And I love just being able to give that. I feel like that's it's a wonderful thing that I can call a job. I don't feel like it's a job. I feel like it's a bit of a calling, but it's something that I can give to other people. And yeah, so I love doing it day in and day out.
Yeah. And it's amazing. Like, I love that you keep coming back to this word empowerment, because that's really what it is. It's giving the power back to the women, back to the couples. And like you said, you can't control everything that's going to happen through your pregnancy, through your birth, but even just having that understanding, I think that was
Yeah,
the biggest thing for me. Like, when I
yeah,
came to you, I
yeah,
had so much fear around birth, and I was really trying not to focus on that because I didn't
yeah,
want that to be my story either. And then I found hypnobirthing and I was like, oh, this really aligns with me, with how I feel about my body in most ways, about, through yoga and mindfulness and all of these, things that are so foundational in my life. Hypnobirthing really aligned with that. But then coming into the course with you, and just one of the biggest takeaways for me was how little I actually understood birth and what even happened to your body, because you get all of these different pieces from Hollywood, from movies, from people telling you all of their different stories and experiences, and you're trying to piece them together and make sense of what that journey actually is. And I think it gives women a completely unrealistic expectation of what birth is, probably for the worse, and puts us into that fear, from the beginning. That was one of my first thoughts when I became pregnant, was like, okay, I'm pregnant. Oh my gosh, this baby has to come out of me. Like, that was really playing on my mind. So I knew I
yeah,
needed something that aligned with my values to really support me in the birth that I wanted to have and the journey that I wanted to have. And that's exactly what hypnobirthing was. Like, it's empowering to understand your own body and like physiologically what happens to you, to the baby, what your different choices are, how your partner can be involved. Like you said, super
yeah,
empowering for them as well. And then just even, yeah, just understanding what you're going to be up against in the medical system. Like, I found it all very supportive. And I found, like, my team, the people that I saw also at Gold Coast Uni Hospital,
were really supportive of what I wanted. But my birth, as you know, didn't look like I was planning either. You could, for any listener, you can go back and listen to my first episode for that. But I felt empowered because, like you said, I was the one making the choices. I'm confident that I made the best choices for me and my baby. So no, my birth didn't look like what I thought it was going to look like, but I'm okay with that because they
Yeah.
were my choices, and everyone came out happy and healthy, and yeah, that's what mattered.
And look, when you were saying, we should really be learning this at school, shouldn't we?
Yes.
But mind you, we wouldn't keep it, would we? We would forget it when it came to it.
No,
But
it comes
we
to us
just
at the
don't.
right time.
Yes, yeah. And we just don't learn it. And then but we're told constantly that we're made to do it. So we're kind of,
I
it's
don't
this
even
kind
feel
of
like I was told
juggle.
that. I was just told like people's horror stories. And I had one friend tell me, like, hold
Yeah.
on, calm down. Your body is made to do this. And that stopped me in my tracks. I was like, oh, I never thought about it like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yes. But yeah, it's fed so many stories. It just becomes you can't even tune into yourself. And how can we birth our baby and allow our baby to come out and have everything working if we're so outside our bodies and outside of what is really happening? We need to tune in. So, I mean, obviously that's a big part of, having that mind body connection is really, really important. But I love when you were saying that, that your care providers were actually really great, which is so good. But what I find is that the couples that tell me that are usually people that have done hypnobirthing for the reason that they know what they want, they know how they should be treated.
Yes.
So the care providers, it's like because they love hypnobirthing, and mainly because they don't have to work so hard, they don't have to be managing, they don't want to make the decisions for you. But
Yes.
if you come into this not knowing what to do and what to expect and what choices they will need to manage you.
Mm.
And there is just no choice. They have to manage you because you just don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
So
that's
if
a good
they
way to
have to
put it.
manage you, then they have to make the choices for you, which means that later on, a year, 2 years, 3 years, you start looking back on that and going, I didn't want that to happen to me.
Mm.
Why did that happen to me? Well, it happened because someone else had to make that decision for you because you just didn't know. But if you do know, you've got more of a chance of leading this birth and walking out feeling more empowered by it
Yeah.
because it was your decision. And, that's what we want. We just want to make our decisions about our body, our baby. It's pretty simple when you come down, when it comes down to it. We just
Yeah.
want to feel like, autonomy, right? It's just,
Yeah, it is that. I want to jump more into how, like, specifically you help women with hypnobirthing, what that actually looks like. But on a very high level, for someone who's listening and they're like, this all sounds great, but what actually is hypnobirthing? How do you kind of sum it up?
so hypnobirthing, it is very much it's a mind body connection. We need to break down a lot of what we're getting fed. I mean, you said it beautifully before. You've got people talking at you, you've got people telling you the horror stories, you've got movies. We have been so it's ingrained in us how birth should look, whether we like it or not. We see it as being a woman on a bed because I still don't see a movie without a woman on a bed. A woman on a bed, possibly in stirrups. Maybe no, maybe you don't see too much of that. But still those old movies. You think it was
Yeah.
Friends. They had that, and she's screaming, and it could even be a comedy. And so she's screaming and squeezing her husband's hand and breaking his hand or whatever. And it's all thought to be funny and yeah, great. This really enters into our subconscious, and we believe it. We think that's what birth is. It's hard, and I can't do it,
Mm.
and I'm going to need to take some drugs to make it better. And so, what do? Even if we don't want to do that, it becomes our belief system because it is so ingrained. So we need to break down what we're seeing and kind of the experience to what is possible and what our body is possible to do. So we need to first, hypnobirthing is about understanding It's the 4 pillars, which is knowledge, tools, support, and preparation. So knowledge, understanding all the information, understanding the procedures, interventions, what could happen, and then also understanding how your body works, the hormones that are happening, that we are absolutely designed to do it, but we need to really understand exactly how it's working. So that if we know how it works, we can work with it rather than against it. So there's like simple things that you can be doing. I mean, even just dimming the lights, great, helps with your body. You've got extra melatonin going through that body. You're calming yourself. You've got endorphins going in. So we've got our partner doing some nice movement. Sorry, not movement on you, some massage. So we're using tools and techniques to keep the body as calm as it possibly can because it works better. And if it works more efficiently, then the labor will go better and it'll go more efficiently. So we need to get all that information, but then also we need our partner understanding what's happening so that they can help us through that. We've got the tools to help. Hypnobirthing is very much about understanding how to make decisions in those moments. It's about understanding, yes, the physiology of birth, but then when special circumstances comes our way, or if they do, how are we going to be able to deal with those? So it's really covering. Hypnobirthing is a great course to get involved in because it gives so much. It really is an all-rounder. I mean, Hypnobirthing Australia, I know, is very much an all-rounder. It gives you pretty much a good span of working on mindset, but then also working on the body, and that knowledge that really is going to help you to be able to inform you to go through this process. Yeah.
And I love what you said too about, how so much of like what helped with your second birth and probably your first as well was all the things you did in the lead up as well, because there's so much that you can be doing just to even help yourself feel more calm about everything that's happening during your pregnancy. And then even thinking about the birth. Like, I know for me, one of the most, like, I still think about this in such a nice way. One of my favorite parts of my pregnancy, once I did the hypnobirthing course, you get so many resources from it. And I absolutely loved the meditations. There's so many beautiful meditations with affirmations and things like that. And I had my little nightly ritual where I would lay down, do my legs up the wall, like favorite pregnancy yoga pose.
I remember you saying that. Yes.
Anyone who loves, is interested in that, best pregnancy yoga pose. Legs up the wall.
Yeah.
Just put a pillow under you when you get more and more pregnant, when you don't want to be on your back. But yeah, and then I would put those hypnobirthing affirmations, meditations on, and I would just lay there. And sometimes I would fall asleep there. Like, I would actually fall asleep and wake up and be like, oh, I guess I should go to bed. Like, it was so nice, but it just got me so much more relaxed, even about thinking about birth. Because like I said, I had a lot of fear about it. And I knew that that wasn't going to be helpful for my pregnancy or especially coming into the birth. So just doing that work in a really calm, nurturing way in the lead up just made me feel so much more positive and empowered, even walking into the birth. So that was, a big game changer for me.
I have had so many mums tell me that listening to those tracks before they go to bed, their sleep is just, because obviously that's a big thing when you're pregnant. Sometimes, you get the insomnia, but they've maintained this relaxation in that last period, which is really, really helps. And it's just, you can be doing homework just before you go to bed. So there you go, just while you're sleeping.
Exactly.
But listening to those tracks and look, this is the hypnosis part, because of course hypnobirthing it's not about, I think we've seen it often enough. I think it's become so much more commercial that we know that you're not getting the pendulums or you're not getting the swirls, or we're not going to be like doing this crazy stuff to you. And it's self-hypnosis. So these tracks are helping you to, and that's really what hypnosis is. It's breaking down those negative thought patterns and replacing them with more positive ones, because it's those negative thought patterns that we've been thinking over and over and over and over again since we've been, from the age of, however young, all the way until we're now pregnant. So that's a long time that we've been embedding those really negative thoughts. So hypnosis is going to get you there faster. So it just allows you to break down those, those negative thought patterns, put in the more positive ones, because of the fact, and this is not this is not, because I know that this is very much a word that's used like that, toxic positivity.
Yeah.
This is not that. It
Yes.
is about when that toxic positivity is if, oh, I'm going to be positive now. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be positive. It's all good. It's all good. No, we like to work our way through the fears. So if you've got a fear, you face it head on. And that's what I encourage couples to do. So we talk about, I'm not a part of it. They get to talk through their fears together. So that's what helps you to be more in line with your partner so that you can work as a team and you're not going to be holding all of this fear and then you're going to go into the birth because it's going to raise its ugly head. If you've just been squashing it down, it's just going to pop up in the times that you really don't want it to. So this is really helping to kind of deal with that in and in a really nice way. And you know, it's really important because as soon as we get rid of those fears, our body works better. And this is what we go through in hypnobirthing. We talk about specifically how that fear is affecting how you birth. It's actually affecting your birthing body and then baby getting distressed as well. You're doing yourself a favor, you're doing your baby a favor by staying as calm, as relaxed as you can, because you know it's not something that you can just totally clear, but we just keep working at it.
It takes the practice too. It's like it's something that you do in the lead up. And one point I really want to make is like all of this work is so beautiful through your pregnancy, through your birth, and I think you can really see it in action in the birth. But getting all of these foundations for how to work with that mind-body connection, how to reduce stress, things like that, it is so important in that postpartum period. Like we're talking about it in the context of birth, but already having that in your toolkit for after the birth, because as you know, as you and I both know, the birth is not the end of the journey. The birth is just the beginning.
It's just the beginning.
Where there's so many different factors of postpartum. And if you have those tools already to learn how to reduce stress, how to work with your body, not against it, how to listen to what's coming up in your body, you are already set up for, just a better postpartum experience in the sense of you're going to have those tools to be able to help you when you need to reduce that stress and things like that do come up.
Absolutely. And I try to sort of feed that in because obviously in my courses, I know that not everyone's ready to hear that.
Yeah.
So it's just a delicate feed in, but all of these tools, like I hypnobirth every day of my life. And am I pregnant? No, I'm not. So it's just using these great tools, but they're tools for life. So you can bring them in. And so sometimes I refer to them when we're in the course. It's like, oh, and by the way, you could use this when, after the baby comes. And because this really is the beginning. And I know that not everyone wants to hear that yet because they're just like, no, I just want to know how I can get through the birth. And great, use them because they are going to most definitely help you get through this birth. But keep doing it. And this is going to lead on through your postpartum because this is a huge stage to go into next. And yes, I can attest to that, which I'm sure you can too.
Yes. No, and they are so good for that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love them. But like I said, getting that down in your toolkit in pregnancy is a complete game changer. I absolutely love that.
And repetition, because if we don't practice it, it dwindles away and we don't do it. And the idea is that we get these tools in us or these sort of movements and techniques and do them so that they become just intuitive. Like you just go to them because I don't want anyone to go into birth and say, now this is when you do this and now you got to do this. I just want the birthing mum knows. She knows her body. You just have to listen to it. The only thing you got to work on is really tuning in and then allowing yourself. Now, if you've done all the practice, all of that practice will be something that you feed into your birth because it'll be there. You can just tap into it. But if you haven't practiced it, it's not something that you're going to do. So for instance, I say
in that like crucial moment when there's so much happening in your body, trying to learn a new skill at that point is
Yeah. I mean, it's so easy. We're sitting here nice and relaxed. It's like, oh, should we do this movement? Sure. Easy. You try and put us in an amazing, intensely insane, circumstance, and then try and do it, and you've got no hope. So it's all about, body memory. Put it in the body, and then that body will do it if it wants to, and if it needs to. And and that's what I love. Trust the mum. She knows more about what's going on than anyone else.
I love that. Again, it's putting that empowerment back to the mom. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And the other thing that you're working on now that I would love to hear about is the body method, which I am much less familiar about that. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
So it's Body Ready Method. This is Lindsay McCoy. She's over in America. So it is very much something that is coming to Australia. There's more practitioners popping up in Australia, but I believe this is very much the new thing coming this way. It is, so it's a method that is really looking at the biomechanics. So looking at biomechanics of birth and helping to create most space to bring baby down through the pelvis. It is very much a sort of physical thing. We're looking at, so the Body Ready method, so I can take couples through this sort of on a one-to-one basis. It is looking at particular exercises and movements and looking at the body and how the mum is in her pregnancy, so that we can look like, say, postural things and where she's getting aches and pains, and then helping her to do certain movements to create more mobility, so that when it comes to the birth, she's got it. It opens up the idea of it being more of a smoother birth because she's been doing the work beforehand. So it's really prepping the body before. So, I'm going to be opening up courses at the end of this year, which would be only 4-hour courses. So it's not like the Hypnobirthing Australia program, which is over 12 hours, over 2 full days, where you're getting that full childbirth education, going through, from start to finish on the mindset, the tools, having your partner understand, you understanding how the body works. That's very much going into all of that side of things, as well as movement. This very much is pretty much just on the movement. So what it's going to look at is it looks at techniques to create more space in the pelvis. So what we'd be doing is we'd be looking at the pelvis in opening the pelvis from the top, mid pelvis, and then also outlet. And so I'd be working with the partners as well. So it's going to be very hands-on and very kind of physical for over those 4 hours, where we'd be looking at having the partner, as well as mum, of course, but having especially the partner look out for clues to tell where baby was in the pelvis, to then offer suggestions about how we could progress the labor based on where baby was positioned.
That is so cool.
And I'm really excited about it because I just love the body. I'm so intrigued with it. And so it's just another part of this puzzle. I love Hypnobirthing Australia. I think it is the best all-round course, especially if you're a first-time mum. And if you don't know anything about how to birth and the body, and you don't have tools and all that sort of thing, you need to do this course. Yeah.
I tell
exactly.
everyone.
It's you got to do it, right? But then, maybe you get those people that have done a course of some sort, or have done something where they've got all the information. They know about induction. They know about the risks and benefits and and they're just looking for physical. They're looking for working with their partner on working their way through. I mean, obviously in Body Ready Method and Body Ready Birth, which is what the course would be called that I'll be launching later this year. It's not giving you a bit of that background as well. It's telling mum how to get into that labor flow state. So it's very much talking about that relaxation, but it's not going to go in intently into tools, and not going to go as intently into the interventions and how, into a lot of detail as to how the body works. We kind of need you to know that a bit already. And then let's just get physical. Let's work on the pelvis and have our partner working out, okay, so she's at this stage because I can see her doing these signs. So maybe if I was to do this, this would help. And for mum to be assured she knows that I've got a partner that knows that as well, and we're working together. And that peace of mind knowing that we can work our way through this birth because we've got some techniques. You'd also get with that course, you get like online exercises to do. So videos that you would be working on again about the intuitively getting it into the body, because you're not going to be able to use these techniques in birth if you've never tried them. You know what I mean? They have to feel natural, because this is very much getting back to, I'm not expecting a mum to get into birth and go, oh, hang on, I'm moving my body like this, so baby might be at mid pelvis, so what about if I put my leg up here? No.
Yeah.
It's not going to be that. She's going to go with what her intuition is telling her, and if she's never tried those moves, she won't use them. It's fine.
Yeah.
But if she has used them, she's probably going to go, I feel like getting my leg up here because it feels good because I've done it so many times. So yeah, it's really getting into the body intuitive. So,
How cool. Oh, I'm
so
excited for
yeah,
you to bring that here. That's amazing.
yeah, I really love it. Yeah. So, and I love both the courses. So I'm like, no, I've got to have both of them. I can't not have just one. So yeah, it's
That's amazing
exciting.
that you can offer that for people who want to take that a little bit deeper. That's so
A
cool.
little bit
I love
deeper.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those that were like, I'm doing Hypnobirthing Australia and now I want to do body reading method, I'm like, go for it.
Yeah,
So
definitely. That's
you
so
can
cool.
do one after the other. Yeah. So
Beautiful.
it's exciting. It's really good. And it just keeps leading into my passion, which is one, supporting women, helping women, being there and being able to take them through this amazing transformational journey. But then also getting into my other passion, which is just understanding how the body works and really just, kind of getting into it. I just find it, really interesting.
It is, yeah. And it's so cool to see how passionate you are about it. Like you definitely bring that into your courses. And
Oh,
yeah,
that's good. That's
I know
good.
all the moms
Yeah.
get so much out of it from working with
Yay.
you. And
Oh, yeah.
I know you do your in-person courses on the Gold Coast. Are you
Yes. Yeah.
doing anything online as well that someone not on the Gold Coast can connect with you?
Yeah, I'm doing basically the Hypnobirthing Australia course. I
Yeah.
do online, so
Amazing.
it's basically the same course, and it all came up after going through COVID. I realized that I had to go online, and then I went, oh, hang on, I could perhaps offer this, because I've taught some mums in New Zealand, and then also sort of WA where there's no chance of them coming to my course.
Yeah.
And even just a mum that was, a mum down in Byron. So she was like, oh, I can't get to you. It's just a bit too far. So I'm like, well, we do online. So
So
yeah,
cool.
I
I
teach
love that.
the full course, and it's over, I usually do it over in person is over 2 Sundays. So one Sunday and then come back to me for the next Sunday. But if it's online, I'll do it over 4 days. So 4 sessions, and it will be once per week. So you can do it kind of nice and easy, relaxed over once a week over the 4 weeks. And that
Yeah,
can be,
beautiful.
so yeah.
Love that. Well, before we wrap up, I want to ask you our three final questions I always ask our guests. So, if you could go back and give yourself any piece of advice or anything in your pregnancy, either one or both, what would you say to yourself?
I think with pregnancy, it's got to be just rem- getting back to that trust. Just keep trusting your body. It's so hard, like when you're a first time mum and you just can't. You're like, but I don't know, and I want to know, and I can't prepare for something I don't know. But just keep trusting your body, because your body knows what to do. And it's more than just your body knows what to do. It's just your body and you can cope with anything that is thrown at you. So just keep
Mm.
trusting yourself that you're going to be able to get through that, and to keep yourself as calm as possible, because you're giving your body the best chance of working better if you are more calm and relaxed. And then know that you got this. Whatever happens, you'll deal with the circumstances. Obviously, get yourself some education so that you can be prepared for some things that come your way. But trust. You got to trust your body, and you got to trust your.
Oh, I love that. That's a great piece of advice. And then for your postpartum experiences, what would you go back and tell yourself in that phase if you could?
Because my postpartum, it was, in a way, I think birth was pretty easy, and then postpartum hit. Ooh,
Mm.
it's intense, and it was a lot of perfectionism. Like I had to be doing it right. I wish that I had this bit of advice really early, because I learnt it a lot later, and I wish I would have benefited from it knowing it a lot earlier. That was to not worry so much. Specifically, it was, don't make a decision until you literally have to make that decision because you can't go on anymore. And by that, I mean, I was always that person that would think, am I doing this right? Can I do it better? What's that person doing? Or should I be doing it like that? Everyone else seems to be doing it like that. Maybe I should be doing it like that. And I'm talking about, my baby and milestones, and, should I be rocking? Should I be feeding my baby to sleep? Should I be doing all these sort of things? I was just so judgmental of myself and everything that I was doing. And I needed to, as soon as I got given that advice, which, is if you don't know the right decision to make, because that was always it. I'm so kind of indecisive. If you don't know the right decision to make right now, should you be making that decision at all? And as soon as someone said that to me, I'm like, it took the pressure off. It felt like the judgment was off as well. And then I just knew that I didn't have to worry anymore, because right now I wasn't sure what decision to make. I'm not going to make it. And so when I'm rocking my baby to sleep at 2:00 in the morning and I feel literally like I am going to just collapse because I cannot do this anymore, and I'm like streaming down with tears because I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Something needs to change then. I'm going to change it now. So now we're going to change it. And I'm going to do something else. And I don't know what that's going to be, but I'm going to do it because I have to do it, because there's no other choice to do it. So that was the advice. And that has pretty much carried on for the rest of my life. I now, if I feel like I can't and don't make the decision right now. It's not ready yet. And then, you know what happens? You relax, and then it comes to you. And then it just, because you've just let go, and that's it. And that's pretty much birth to a T in what I teach, which is just release and let go. Don't make it right now. You don't have to leave it. Oh, look, I can make a decision now. I feel more relaxed.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I can totally relate to the overwhelm and all of the decisions you have to make, and how easy it is to start comparing yourself and Googling. And I'm talking like even the smallest little things. Like I was definitely the same in a way, but I've never heard it spoken about like that you don't have to make the decision at that moment. Yeah, I love that. And then you give yourself a bit of space. And that's probably all
I'm sure people say it in a different way, and it's like, it kind of means the same, because I'm sure, but it's like that connected for me. That just made it. And I'm just like, oh, great. I don't have to judge myself anymore. I don't have to try and fit in with the Joneses. I don't have to do anything because guess what? I'm not changing anything now because I don't know what the decision is, so I won't make it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. And I've never heard it described that way either. That resonates with me as well.
Yeah.
I definitely could have used that advice back in my postpartum too, but I'll take that with me now. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And then last question, what is one thing that our listeners can do today for their own well-being, whatever stage, whatever part of their journey they're on?
I would say, look, and this is just me personally, right? I would say for me personally, what's been a game changer is I do 10 to 15 minutes per day, non-negotiable movement. And I didn't do that in sort of postpartum and when I had my kids. And look, I get it. Like kids, it's hard. Like, you're trying to get sleep, let alone try and do movement, right? But I thought that running around after my kids, I always used to tell myself this, I'm running around after my kids. I'm always active. I'm always doing something, so I don't need to do exercise. I don't need to do any movement for myself. First of all, I wasn't doing anything for myself. That's the big thing. So that wasn't good. But then also I lost all my strength. I used to be an actor/dancer, and I was getting knee pain. And I'm like, I'm not old enough to get like knee pain. I'm not going to have like knee replacements, am I? And what I worked out is that I was losing all of the muscle strength. Like, just giving you a bit of an idea, I could run up steps, but I couldn't walk very well up steps. And it was because of certain muscles, and I'd lost strength. I was also getting the mum butt. Do you know what the mum butt is? You know what the mum butt is?
The flat
Yeah,
butt?
flat back. And it's because I'm carrying babies and I'm tucking my pelvis, right? And so when you do that, it's like you lose all your glutes.
Yeah. No, that's a real
And
thing.
so, yeah. So I was losing strength, but I kept on saying the message I was telling myself was, no, it's okay. I'm running around after kids. I'm active, I'm fine. But I wasn't, because I wasn't doing anything for myself and I wasn't doing the right exercises. I know there was like Tony Robbins, and he was saying, interviewing the best experts in regards to physical movement. And they were saying doing 10 minutes per day. I found this out after I started doing this. But if you do 10 minutes a day, like even just like planks, things like that, like core strength work, it's really good for, just overall well-being. And so I worked this out and I thought, okay, so 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever I do. And I've built back that strength. I have felt better now than I did 10 years ago. And my knee pain goes away. And and the fact is, it's not even just about physical, it's about mental and emotional. I do that 10 minutes. I dedicate and say, non-negotiable, it's for me. I do it and I feel good. I feel energized. I might even sometimes do it like, and I can't fit it in until 12 o'clock midday. That's when I do it. And that's what's going to happen. And so I don't care what time it is. It's just long as it happens sometimes through the day. And I feel good and it's changed my outlook. So general well-being, 10 minutes a day, devote to yourself, whatever that be, certain exercises that might work best for you. Best
I
advice for
love
me.
that. I love that. And like 10 minutes a day is like, okay, everyone
I do
has,
that.
you can find
Yeah.
10 minutes. Like look at your screen time
Yeah.
on your phone. I promise you, you can
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
an extra
That's
10
it.
minutes. And then those
Yeah.
little time frames add up over the course of the week. I
Yes.
love that.
Yeah. And if you stick to it, because that's the thing, if you kind of just go non-negotiable, like you got to do it. And when you see after however long, wow, you start seeing real benefits in mood, feeling, certain strength in your body. It's great. Yeah, really
And
good.
it's probably just so ingrained into you as a habit
Yeah.
now as well.
Now
It's
it's
like
a
a
habit.
no-brainer.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Now it's a habit because it's probably about a year now since I've been doing it. And so it's not even been that long. And so I feel like my health has just grown so much, like strength-wise, and just being able to cope better mentally, feeling really good. So yeah, it's great.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Kate. As I knew you would be, you were such a wealth of knowledge around all things pregnancy, birth, and yeah, really just coming back to that empowerment, which is, I think, moms and women need at all stages, but especially through the journey of pregnancy and birth, and then can help them through postpartum as well. So that's so beautiful.
Great. Oh, it's been so lovely speaking with you. And and now here you're doing empowerment with all your work too. So I feel like
Thank
it's a
you.
perfect alignment.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a full circle
It
moment for us to have this
is.
conversation. I absolutely love it.
It really feels like that. Yeah. Love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I hope you found inspiration and empowerment in this episode. If you enjoyed it, I'd be so grateful if you could share it with another mom who could use a little extra support or encouragement. By sharing, you're helping us build a community of strong, empowered mamas who are thriving in motherhood together. If you have a moment, please leave a quick review and rating. It really helps more moms like you find the show and feel supported on their journey. For more simple and transformative practices, come connect with me on Instagram at mama_time_yoga. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to hit follow so you never miss an episode. And until next time, take care of yourself, mama. You've got this.